Hi, Hunters. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joy.
And I'm Laura.
And this is The Witches of Letters, a supernatural rewatch podcast.
Buckle up as we dive into Season 3, Episode 3, Bad Day at Black Rock.
Woo! This is one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite episodes ever. It has I Lost My Shoe. I love it so much. And it also has I'm Batman.
Yeah.
It's just... Oh.
When I realised that, because obviously I've seen those like memes or clips before, but I hadn't got the context. And when I realised it was the I Lost My Shoe episode, I was like, oh my god, it's I was so excited.
I have been talking to her about that on and off. Like, I don't know how much of that you remember, but I definitely shared a shit ton of I Lost My Shoe stuff to our Instagram page because it's one of my favorite things ever on TV, ever. So I was definitely part of the like I Lost My Shoe stuff that Laura saw. But I cannot even tell you guys because obviously she loves Supernatural and she ended up being as hardcore of a fan as me, which works out really well when you're doing a podcast about Supernatural.
Yeah, it would have been a bit shit if I'd been like, no, I don't like it, Joy, after the first few episodes. I don't want to do this anymore.
That would have sucked.
Because it was a gamble, because I'd never watched it.
We really were gambling because we didn't know if you were going to be a Sam girl or a Dean girl. We could have both been Dean girls. There could have been fighting. There is the secret third option of Castiel, but obviously
I haven't met him yet, though.
No, he comes up next season, though.
Oh, is it that soon?
It's really soon. He's in season 4, so cool. We get to find out. Will she switch sides again and become a Cass girl? Who knows? She seems very Sam loyal to me. I don't think that's going to shift. That's my prediction, personally. I think she's going to stay a Sam girl. But we shall see.
I feel like, obviously, I've tried to avoid spoilers, but I've seen a couple of clips with him in it, and he just seems funny. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
So I don't think this is a spoiler to say, but like I feel like when you meet Cass, I feel like he's a totally different character to the way that he ends up being portrayed in later episodes, which is like funnier. Okay. And so there are actually like I've seen a lot of comments about this, and I've always replied, I'm like, I could not agree with you more. Because a lot of people have noted that like the flavor, the atmosphere when you first meet Cass is so unbelievably different from the squishy, funny guy that you get like later on. And there's more to him than that. But like it is very different. I cannot wait for us to get a couple more seasons in and for you to like weigh in and tell me all your thoughts about it.
The other thing that was good in this episode was it's the first time that Bobby says "idjit."
Idjit! You idjits.
There was lots of bits where I was like, ah!
I really like calling my husband an idjit. Like when he does something really, really, really silly, I just feel like idjit. You can't talk a good, serious idjit with the right intonation to it. Like it's the best thing. Because it's such a silly word.
Yeah.
That it's never mean. It's never like over the top mean, but you can say it with so much sincerity that it's still kind of like it gets the point across.
Yeah. Yeah. This episode was just so funny. It's basically a slapstick comedy, isn't it? It's so good.
I have to say, I had no idea that Jared Padalecki was so good at slapstick. Like, this is like Buster Keaton, like Charlie Chaplin, like one of the greats levels of slapstick. I saw actually a reel today where he was talking about it at one of the conventions, and he did so much of it. Like it's physical comedy. Like of course he had to do it, but like I think a lot of shows cheat it where they'll cut away so that they can have a stunt double do like more of the but they're both really physical guys. They're very physical actors. They do a lot of action. They do a lot of like comedy stuff, and clearly a lot of pratfalls in this. And like there's not that many cutaways, and there's places in it where it's just like if they'd cut away, it would have sold it so short. This is some proper like Steve Martin, like amazing top tier slapstick. And I watched this episode 3 times in
Yeah,
a
I've watched
row.
it 3 as well.
It's just so good. So I watched it to do my notes. Then I rewatched it because it was so great. And I love it so much. And I was just like, oh yes, it's one of my favorites. And then Nick came home and it was pancake day over here in the UK. And he was like, oh, we should have pancakes today. And I was like, well, pancakes for dinner, breakfast for dinner. Let's do that. And he was like, yes. So it perfectly mirrored the episode because I convinced him to watch the episode with me. And so he watched it. He loved it. Then he went out and bought scratch cards because of the episode. So we sat down and had like bacon and pancakes for dinner and we scratched off our scratch cards. I got nothing and he won £5. It was like £5 or £10 or something. And I just felt like I was living my best life. And it was literally like we were in the episode. It was the best thing ever.
You better check he hasn't got a rabbit spit that's going to curse him when he loses it.
Yeah, I'll have to check all the pockets in the laundry for that.
But I think this is I'm just going to put it out there, my favourite episode so far, or definitely for this season. And I think it's going to be tough to beat it for this season as well. So it's only the 3rd episode in, and I think this is going to be my favourite for season 3.
I actually just realized something. This whole time, I've been like, you look like someone. And I always thought it was Peter Wilson, which you do kind of look like Peter Wilson, to be fair. But you look so much like the girl who plays, what's her face in this episode? Bella Talbot. You very much resemble that actress.
What, Maggie from Walking Dead? That's how I knew it. I was like, she's Maggie.
Oh, I don't watch Walking Dead, so like I tried watching it, but it was at the height of my zombie horror.
Yeah, you don't like zombies.
And there was also lots of really dark characters, and I tend to struggle if there's not like enough good stuff. Like TV is escapism for me, so I don't want to see a lot of shitty people in my shows. It's the same reason why I found Game of Thrones really difficult to watch at points.
Yeah, I never actually ended up watching that. We also had Gordon back.
Oh, he's so pretty. He's so evil, but he's so pretty.
He's trying to kill Sam. I'm very conflicted because I think he's hot, but he's also trying to kill my Sam.
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
And he's not being very reasonable about it either.
Have you noticed, though, all of the Antichrist references in reference to Sam over the last several episodes?
Yeah.
Have you picked up on that?
Mm-hmm.
They might be on to something.
No. It's not Sam.
They might be on to something. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, Gordon just wants to kill Sam, for even if he wasn't.
He's just jealous because he wants Dean all to himself.
Yeah, Sam wouldn't let Dean and Gordon play anymore.
Exactly. He just wants his totally psycho friend to be all American Psycho with. He wants to be American Psycho best buddies with him and just kill loads of like monster people.
And he's bitter because they sent him to prison.
He is bitter about that. It's true. Oh, I haven't Googled it. Okay, I haven't Googled it, but I did message Laura about this. Did anybody else notice that the Jesus in what's his face's van, Kubrick's van, really looks like John Winchester? Like blonde Jesus, if he actually had brown hair, looks like Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah, you sent me multiple. You were like, hang on, I'm going to send a better picture because this one, the lighting's wrong. And I was like, I still don't see it.
I just want to see if anybody else saw it.
Well, we can ask. If you think that the weird Jesus thing looks like Daddy Winchester, let us know in the comments.
Yeah. But that's my own personal conspiracy theory. I think that painting was based on Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
I had one fun fact just before we start from the special features. So Ben Edlund, who's the co-executive producer, is what it said on his title. Said about Bella. Now, I can't remember what episode it was, but we've mentioned it multiple times, where some of the writers or the showrunners or whatever have said about introducing female characters as being difficult because, they're trying too hard to have a relationship or something. Basically, they said the same. He said the same thing, And he said it's difficult to introduce new female characters to the supernatural universe because fans don't want anything or anyone to challenge their brotherly love or split them up, which I don't agree with, but okay. He says that there's resistance to any new characters because of this, but with Bella, it's useful to have someone who kind of wins against them because they normally win. So she kind of wins at the end, doesn't she? Because she's stolen all the
she 100% wins.
Yeah.
She won this round.
So she's someone who's going to keep them on their toes. So I'm assuming that means that she comes back in at least a few episodes.
Yeah. She's like the Irene Adler to their Sherlock.
I thought she was funny.
She's amazing. I love her. I think she's fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, we also finally find out the name of the mystery blonde woman.
Oh, thank God for that. Ruby. Okay. Also, Ruby, my cat, has a supernatural name.
I didn't realize that was
her
why
name
you called
is
her
Ruby. Yeah. Ruby.
I was confused though because I thought that Jared's wife's character was Ruby.
Yes, correct.
Oh, okay. So it's just like, because she's a demon, I guess it can be different.
Because she's a demon, she can have different bodies.
Okay. Do you want me to do the synopsis? Shall we start this episode?
Start this episode? Yes.
Fuck off. So this is season 3, episode 3, Bad Day at Black Rock. The original air date for this episode was October 18th, 2007. A cursed rabbit's foot is stolen from a storage unit that once belonged to John Winchester, and Sam and Dean have to hunt it down because anyone who touches the rabbit's foot experiences an incredible streak of good luck. However, when they lose it, their fortune turns disastrously bad and they die.
Dun, dun, dun.
Sam and Dean find the men who stole the foot, and during the confrontation, Sam inadvertently touches it, transferring the curse to him. He then loses it when a skilled thief named Bella Talbot, who is also after the foot, intending to sell it for profit, steals it from him. As Sam's misfortunes escalate, Dean and Bobby work to track down Bella and retrieve the cursed object before it leads to Sam's death. At the same time that all of this is happening, Sam is also being tracked by 2 other hunters who have been sent to kill him by Gordon, who is now in prison after his last encounter with the Winchesters.
Yeah, that's what happened there. That sounded kind of Canadian. Hi, Canadian listeners. I don't know where that came from.
My very first note is from the recap, and it says, "Ooh, Gordon is in the recap."
He is in the recap. He's so sexy. So evil and so sexy. We're also almost to the point where I can finally finish telling you that Sterling K. Brown story.
Yeah.
Because more things happen to his character. And then that's what fans at conventions wanted from Sterling K. Brown. They wanted a very specific thing because it's something that happens to his character. Which I can't tell you because currently it's spoilers. But when we get there, I'm so excited because you're going to lose your mind because it's crazy.
Okay. I'm excited. How long have we got to wait?
It's either in this season or next season, but I'm pretty positive it's this season.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So the way that I described this opening was wish Jean-Claude Van Damme visits Gordon, who says the Devil's Gate was open in Wyoming. That Bobby Singer said they went there to stop it, where they talk about this. We find out that wish Jean-Claude Van Damme's name is Kubrick, which I thought was interesting because, film references Kubrick. And then Gordon says, because Sam Winchester must die. And that's my summary of this scene.
That was dramatic.
But he really looks like Jean-Claude Van Damme, this guy.
Yeah, now you've said it.
Every time I watch this episode, that's all I can think of is he is the Wish version of Jean-Claude Van Damme. Like he just, and then, I just can't get, it's all I can see.
So what I wrote for the opening is that another hunter, Kubrick, goes to see Gordon in prison. He tells Gordon about the Devil's Gate opening and that hundreds of demons escaped. Gordon says that Sam Winchester was there, wasn't he? And I wrote, Gordon is such a hot villain. And then he says that he knows a guy who knows a guy who knows Bobby. And the Winchesters were there. And I wrote, what kind of hunter's grapevine is this? And then I wrote, if they have a newsletter, that's what it should be called. Kubrick says Bobby said they were there to stop it, but Gordon's having none of it. Kubrick tries to say that Sam is just a hunter, but Gordon says he doesn't even think Sam is human, which kind of links to what you were saying, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically tells Kubrick he predicted this was all going to happen 6 months ago, and so he should believe him when he says this boy is part of it. And I thought you'd find that funny because you're always pointing out when they say that Sam's a boy.
Boy, because he's a grown man. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a very grown man. Like, he's so tall.
Yeah.
He's a lot of man.
And then I wrote, how old is Gordon supposed to be? Because I thought he was about Dean's age, but now I'm thinking he must be older. But it is hard to tell because Sterling K. Brown looks exactly the same now. I'm watching Paradise at the moment and he looks exactly the same.
Yeah, he's basically immortal.
Yeah.
He doesn't age.
No. But I'm thinking maybe he was supposed to be a bit older than Dean then.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's when he then says, Sam Winchester must die, and hangs up the little phone thing. And then we get the title card. And then I wrote, is Gordon telling us he has visions? And is he a secret fire baby?
Fire baby. That would be funny. So my thought process about Gordon is that he somewhere, somehow has information and informants in their circle. Like somebody who knows Bobby or knows Ellen is also one of his informants. It has to be because of the things that he's known all of these episodes. Only people in the inner circle knew those things. We still don't know how Gordon knows about the Azazel and the fire babies. So I don't know, but it's very sus that he has such tight information. Like, he has to know.
It's that Hunter's grapevine.
They're not calling it that, Laura. There's no way. This is when, like, three seasons later, they call it that in the script or something. I've just forgotten about it. So I don't know. It's very suspicious. It's very, very suspicious. I feel like he either has tortured demons for information, and that's how he has it, or like another monstrous person. But yeah, he definitely has some kind of something.
Yeah. And this is just his like psychopath headcanon. And he's making it all up and it just happens to be true.
Maybe that is possible.
Parts of it anyway.
Yeah.
So we cut to Sam and Dean talking about Ruby, the demon, in the car. We know her name.
Yeah, we do know her name, which is so nice because, like, blonde mystery girl is a huge mouthful, and I was so sick of saying it all the time.
And you kept saying the name and had to keep cutting it out.
Yeah. So it was a pain for both of us. Dean opens this by saying, because demon, that's why. And I love that line. I thought that was so funny. Like, just the middle of this argument is where they open this scene, and I love it so much. He says, I mean, the second you find out this Ruby chick is a demon, you go for the holy water. You don't chat. And Sam's like, no one was chatting, Dean. And Dean's like, oh yeah? Then why didn't you send her ass back to hell? And Sam's like, because she said she might be able to help us out. And Dean's like, how? And Sam's like, hesitation. And Dean's like, no, really, Sam, how could she possibly help us? And Sam says, she told me she could help you, okay? And Dean's like, what are you talking about? He doesn't say, he just gives him a look. And Sam's like, help you out of the Crossroads deal. And Dean looks at Sam like, what the fuck? And he says, what is wrong with you, huh? She's lying. You gotta know that, don't you? She knows what your weakness is. It's me. And I was like, that's adorable. And then he says, what else did she say? And I just love it. And then Dean's like, dude, because Sam doesn't answer him. And Sam says, nothing, okay? Look, I'm not an idiot, Dean. I'm not talking about trusting her. I'm talking about using her. I mean, we're at war, right? And we don't know jack about the enemy. We don't know where they are. We don't know what they're doing. I mean, hell, we don't know what they want. Now, this Ruby girl knows more than we will ever find out on our own. Now, yes, it's a risk. I know that, but we need to take it. And Dean's like, you're okay, right? I mean, you're feeling okay? And Sam's like, yes, I'm fine. Why are you always asking me that? At which point Nick turned around to me and said, that's like you. That's like any conversation I have with you. And I was just like, this is true. It is true. I hate it when people ask me if I'm okay. Like, are you doing all right? I hate that shit. How's your week? I hate it. And that's a me problem. I know that. I appreciate it. I'm just saying, I don't like it either. Sam and I, same page. And Sam's like, yes, I'm fine. Why are you always asking me that? And then the phone starts ringing and Sam sighs and reaches for it. And then he goes, oh, it's not mine. And Dean goes for his. And then he goes, nope, check the glove compartment. It's Dad's. And Sam's like, Dad's? And at this point, I didn't remember what happened. And I was like, oh, why is John's phone ringing? What the fuck is this about? And I was like, oh, I like this. This is mysterious and shit. And Dean says, yeah, I keep it charged up in case any of his old contacts call. And Sam opens it and answers it and says, hello, yes, this is Edgar Casey. And I'm like, fake names. And then he says, no, don't call the police. I'll handle this myself. Thanks. Can you just lock it up for me? I don't have my book in front of me. And then he gets a pen from Dean to write it down. And he says, yeah, do you have the address? Right. Okay. Thanks a lot. And then he ends the call. And Sam says, Dad ever tell you that he kept a container at a storage place? And Dean's like, what? And Sam says, outside of Buffalo. And Dean just says, no way. And Sam says, yeah. And someone just broke into it. And I thought that was such a fun way to start an episode.
Yeah.
I was really, really into it.
Yeah. I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting because what's he got in there?
Mm-hmm.
And I actually have a list later in case anyone's
wondering. That's fun. I'm wondering. I'm excited about that. So we go into Jean-Claude Van Damme's RV because, of course, he lives in an RV. All right. So he and his fellow hunter Creedy are inside checking out their weapons. And Creedy says, so you got no hard evidence on this Winchester guy. You're just working off of Gordon's instincts. And Kubrick's like, you ever hunt with Gordon? And Creedy's like, no, I heard he's good. And Kubrick's like, good? And he laughs. He says, he's the best. He saved my ass more time than I can count. So if he says that Sam Winchester's dangerous, I believe him. And I was thinking, already you're very suspicious. Because if you think Gordon is good people, you have very questionable, like a moral center. You know what I'm saying? Even Ellen was like, this guy is a whack job. So Creedy says he's going to be covering his tracks. He won't be easy to find. And Kubrick says last I got puts him in Nebraska 3 weeks back. And Creedy says not exactly a fresh lead. Kubrick says he ain't invisible, Creedy. Some hunter out there knows something. So we start calling all our contacts. All we need is one break. And Kubrick gets up from the table and looks over at Creedy, who is taking out some kind of 3D Jesus from an overhead cupboard. And is basically like moving it back and forth because it's one of the Jesus heads that's designed. So it creates an optical illusion so that its eyes will follow you wherever it is. And Creedy's mesmerized and he's just moving it back and forth, back and forth. And Kubrick says, don't play with my Jesus.
Don't play my Jesus.
And I wrote guns and Jesus. This does not give me good vibes.
No. I just wrote new hunter dudes, weird Jesus thing.
Weird Jesus thing.
And there's more weird Jesuses later.
There are more weird Jesuses, as we know.
Including the one that looks like Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
The one that looks like a blonde Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I'm telling you. What I'm going to do is for out of context quotes. That's going to be my contribution. So I'm going to try and find a photo reference for Jeffrey Dean that looks like the still that I took of the Jesus artwork. And I'm going to show you guys. I really do think that this is a real thing and not just something that exists in my head only. But if it does, it's free entertainment for the rest of you. So be like, Joy, why are you so crazy? And that's fine.
So Sam and Dean go to John's storage unit. Dean is amused that they didn't know about the storage unit and John's secrets. They open it and see a devil's trap on the ground and a booby trap so that anyone entering would get shot in the shoulder. And there's also blood, so they know that the person who broke in is shot. And then I wrote, here are the things I noticed in the storage unit. A weird flag over a coffin, which I later found out is the state flag for Arkansas. A coffin, who is in it?
I wanted to know that because there's also the Bela Lugosi reference, like the Dracula reference in this. And I was just like, oh, does John have Dracula? Is Dracula in there?
I wrote, is there someone in there or did John just buy a coffin for later use? There's animal skulls, there's a booby trap, there's a random owl statue, and then there's I wrote some childhood crap.
Laura, how could you? That childhood crap is the only sign that John ever cared about them as a father. Yeah, like, come on now.
No, it's cute.
It's so cute.
Well, it's cute, but I have a bit of a... It's not that cute, actually, because Dean's childhood crap is a shotgun that he made when he was 6.
My
And I
sweet
just wrote,
baby angel Dean.
they really didn't have a childhood, did they? Dean was
Wait,
making guns in the 6th grade. Oh no, it was 6th grade, not 6th.
let's see. Because I thought that, and I've been out of America for so long that I don't remember what the ages are.
Probably
How old
about
is someone
10.
in 6th grade? Dun, dun, dun. Wow, Google, you're taking your time. 11 to 12 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he was like a tween.
But yeah, but it was, so they were looking around and find this, and Sam's got a football trophy or a soccer trophy, hasn't he? And
Yeah.
Dean's got a shotgun. So yeah, nice childhood memories.
My part, so the script says, I'm obsessed with this. So Dean picks up the trophy, and it's kind of small and gold, and you're like, that's definitely a kid's sport trophy, right? And he says 1995, and Sam has a meltdown of excitement. He is so happy. He says, no way, that's my division championship soccer trophy. I can't believe he kept this. And then Dean says, yeah, it was probably the closest you ever came to being a boy. And I was like, Dean, but also it's funny, but Dean. And then he wanders over, and then he finds his precious thing, which is the sawn-off shotgun that he made in 6th grade when he was a child. Also, and it's like, I have mixed feelings about this, because it's like, did John keep that because Dean was the most proud of that thing? Like, Dean doesn't seem like the kind of kid that's going to go out and play organized sports.
No.
But he is the kind of kid that will excel at making weapons. Because he's a baby, he's a little baby American Psycho. So my question is this John being a typical terrible dad? Or is this the one moment where he was a good dad and he kept the things that mattered the most to his kids at that age? Like, this is like his version of macaroni art for both of them.
Yeah. I don't know, but Dean is so like happy when he sees it, and I was like, that actually makes it sadder.
I know
that it's such a happy childhood memory.
He's so damaged. And I love him so much. And it's also like, obviously, like, he was always training Dean to look after Sammy. His whole life, that's what it was all about. Because Dean was obviously still being pushed into hunting more than Sam, if Sam was allowed to be on like a sports team for long enough to get a division trophy, right?
And go to college.
Yeah, and Dean doesn't get the childhood or any of the other stuff, does he? So
no. Although I had a fun fact about this, actually. So it was Ben Edlund again from the special features, and he said the storage unit ended up being important because John is gone now, because he was in hell, and now he said gone somewhere else, but he was pointing up as he said this.
Heaven.
Yeah. He said the nostalgia helped them connect to their dad, and it was good emotional material. And he said in an episode that was light and almost a screwball comedy, this was a good emotional underpinning to start with. I was like, yeah, but it's emotional, but it's pretty sad. So yeah, that's what they were trying to do anyway. It was the like link to John.
So like, to be fair, I didn't think that it was sad when I watched it. Like that, I didn't go, oh, John, you're the worst father ever, which is what I usually do. I looked at this and I went, oh, he cared. He kept stuff that was precious to them.
Yeah.
And he cared. And he cared enough to put it away with like the most important stuff that he owned.
Yeah. I think he did care about them. It was just because he was blinded by vengeance or like trying to find out what happened to Mary that he then wasn't a very good dad. But I think he did care. He just didn't do a very good job of it.
Yeah, John's not really a shining example of a dad, but I think that it's really touching when you see everything that he has in this storage locker and you realize that this is like top tier John stuff, and that inside that is Dean's shotgun and Sam's trophy. Like, it is really touching and heartwarming, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we're in the room, Dean says, holy crap, look at this. He had landmines, which they didn't take. So as Laura pointed out, like, there's a lot of valuable stuff in there. I just think it's worth pointing out that John had actual landmines, because that amused me. So then Sam sees the boxes and they're covered in symbols, and he says, hey, check this out. See these symbols? That's binding magic. These are curse boxes. And Dean says, curse boxes? They're supposed to keep the evil mojo in, right? Kind of like the Pandora deal. And Sam says, yeah, they're built to contain the power of the cursed object. So Dean goes on to say that he had a lot of dangerous hexed items and stuff, and he didn't say where they ended up. And so Sam says this must be his toxic waste dump, where he put the most dangerous things and contained them. So that's my first folklore fact checked of the episode, is to look into the whole curse box ideology. And it kind of does check out, but it also sort of doesn't check out. So curse boxes sort of exist. But when I looked up the lore on it, it seems like the show sort of wrote it a little bit. So what they say about it being like Pandora's box, and Pandora's box being like the first curse box, that's obviously real folklore. That is folklore. But when I look up on like Wikipedia and I have a little Google, the only real reference that I can find to curse boxes is what they say in the show, which makes me think that it wasn't written before and they sort of looked for a myth and came up with it by looking at like Pandora's box, and that's what this all hinges on.
Okay.
As a practicing witch, you can definitely use boxes in magic. Like you can use them to hex other people. You could use them to contain stuff. But when I looked up the concept of boxes being used specifically to contain something that is supposed to be cursed, there's not really a written practice about it.
That's interesting, because I would have thought there would have been.
No, like it's the kind of thing that you could do. Like if somebody said to me, hey, I have this cursed object, I need you to find a container for it, I would probably put it in something with a shit ton of stuff to make it safe. So like logically it makes sense as a practice. But I can't find a record of it. I can't find it linked to any specific cultural practices, folklore. I can't find a historic record of it outside of, the closest thing I could find is from the Museum of Witchcraft and Magic. And this is all linked in my show notes. There's a photo of a box in this set, a set of boxes, to be fair. Most of them are coffin-shaped boxes. And inside were poppets. So a lot of time when you see voodoo or hoodoo dolls, like there's an idea that that only exists in this culture, and that's not true. So like in England, Ireland, Wales, the UK, Europe, dating back to the medieval period, we would use something called poppets over here. And it's the same sort of thing. It's like a doll that could be made out of anything, but usually like cheaper materials, cloth, sometimes paper. And then you would use what's called a tag lock. So like a piece of the person that was the target of your spell, so like hair, nails, etc., that would be put into the doll to lock the spell onto its target. So I think it's cool when different practices sort of can kind of mirror each other a little bit. I think that's kind of fun. But this particular set of boxes, what it is basically this complicated puzzle box in the shape of a coffin that had several different secret sections. And the sorcerer or sorceress or witch or warlock or whatever terminology you want to use would use this type of magic either for black magic or for good magic. So if it was black magic, you would use it to hasten death. Like you would take your doll, write down the name of the person that you wanted to curse to death, put all your bits and bobs in the doll, and then seal the coffin shut. And then the idea would be that that person would like stay desperately sick until they died. The other option,
not very nice.
the other option, which is to ward off death, if it was somebody that you liked, was you would take the same sort of thing. You would get something of theirs, piece of their hair, something like that, and then you would put different herbs and things into the poppet, write their name down, and then seal them away inside the trick coffin to trick the angel of death to think that that poppet is the real person in their grave and that the person's died like they were supposed to, when in reality the real person continues to live on, which it is clever and it is really, really fun. I thought that was absolutely fascinating and really interesting. So that, like, there is a historic magical use for boxes in different ways, either for beneficent or baneful magic. Um, but when I looked up like archaeology stuff, like I was trying to find any record of a box specifically designed to hold a cursed object and contain it, and I couldn't find anything except for Pandora's box.
What's the Dybbuk box? That's something that's got.
So the Dybbuk box is also brought up when you research cursed boxes,
Oh,
but
okay.
it was an urban legend that is,
Ah,
I think, really shitty, because basically the concept of that kind of ghost, from what I can research, is Jewish. It comes from the Jewish
yeah.
culture. But this guy made up this whole backstory for a wine cabinet because he wanted to sell it for a bunch of money, basically. So he writes a horror story about it, about a Holocaust survivor, of all
Oh,
things,
yeah.
to sell this thing. It gets super famous. Then a horror movie gets made based off of the lies that he told about this box. And I think because it's linked to the real suffering of real people, that's fucked up. Like, to
Yeah,
make
definitely.
up a story related to the Holocaust, that's really disrespectful and shit.
I didn't realize that was just a made up story.
Yeah, it's just made up. All of that stuff was fake. There's a bunch of articles out about it because it came up when I was looking it up, and then the more I looked into it, the more I was like, oh no. Oh no. Uh, so yeah, so the Dybbuk box is not real folklore.
Ah, well, I learned something.
Yeah. And now we know.
So they realised that whoever robbed the place must have been after something very specific because they left all of the weapons. And then
Mm-hmm.
Sam notices some boxes with sigils painted on them and a gap where there used to be a box, but it's gone. So they realise that's what's been stolen. And then Dean theorises that maybe they didn't open it. And then
Yeah.
we cut to two men, and one is saying, "Let's open it." And the other shouts, "Shut up about that damn box." And this reminded me of, "What's in the box?"
Mm-hmm.
Also, side note, I wrote, shouldn't this guy have been shot in the other shoulder? Because the gun was on the right side, wasn't it? Like when they came in. Unless it was in front, actually. When they went in, I thought that it showed the gun on the right hand side, so he would have been shot on that side, but he was shot on his left shoulder.
I literally never noticed continuity things, so you're asking the wrong person.
But now I'm thinking about it, it might have maybe been pointing forwards. But anyway, that's just where my brain went. So yeah, so we're in this apartment with the two guys who stole the box, and basically one guy called Grossman wants to open it as they could make more money from what's inside, and the other, Wayne, doesn't care because he's bleeding to death. And then Grossman opens it and is very disappointed to find out it's just a rabbit's foot. I suppose so they've been like sent by someone, which we find out later is Bella.
Mm-hmm.
But so they're like, do we just hand it over to her and she gives us the money, or can we get more money from selling what's inside? So
Yeah.
they're just out to make as much money as they can. So yeah, Wayne picks it up and we hear a noise that makes us as the audience know that something magical has just happened. And then there's a knock at the door, and it's the landlord telling them that they're being too loud at 6 a.m. And he notices Wayne, and he happens to know how to fix him up as he was an army medic. And then he says, I guess this is your lucky day. So the rabbit's foot is starting to have an effect already.
Yep.
So Sam and Dean pull up outside as they've tracked their car. And inside, Graceman and Wayne are playing cards, and Wayne keeps winning. And then Sam and Dean break in because they've come to collect their rabbit's foot. And what ensues is a pure slapstick routine, and it's comedy gold.
It is one of the best things that I've ever seen in my entire life. So I'm going to read you guys what happens because I love it so much. So basically, Wayne grabs the rabbit's foot and says, maybe this thing really works. You know what I'm saying? Tell you something. There's no way in hell we are handing it over to that stuck-up bitch now after all we've been through. Let's go, huh? Let's get out of here. Let's have some fun. And that's when Sam and Dean break in. And Dean is very cop-looking. He's like, freeze, freeze, nobody move. And Sam backs him up and is like, don't move. And he's like, don't move. And Wayne's like, what is this? And Sam just shouts, "Stop!" And then Dean says, "All right, give us the box and please tell me that you didn't." And Sam says, "Oh, they did," because he sees that it's been opened.
Uh-oh.
Uh-huh. And Dean's like, "You opened it?" And he shoves Wayne against the wall. And then Wayne's like, "Are you guys cops?" And he goes, "Huh?" And Wayne screams, "Are you guys cops?" Because legally, even if they're undercover, they have to tell if they're cops or not, which is why he repeats himself. And Dean says, "What was in the box?" Which is Laura's favorite.
What's in the box?
So Wayne glances over at the coffee table where the rabbit's foot is, and Dean follows his gaze. And Dean goes, "Oh, was that it? Huh? What's that thing?" And Wayne uses Dean's distraction to knock the gun from his hand. It falls to the floor, causing it to fire. The bullet ricochets off a radiator and hits Sam's gun, causing him to drop it. Sam's face is priceless, too. Like, Jared Padalecki's acting in this episode is top tier, okay? The same bullet then ricochets again and breaks a lamp. Sam and Grossman both go for Sam's gun. Grossman pushes Sam into Dean. Dean falls back on the coffee table, launching the rabbit's foot into the air. Sam to Dean, "Sorry." That part's so funny. Grossman throws himself at Sam, sending them both to the floor, and then starts punching Sam in the face. Wayne goes for Dean's gun. As he picks it up and aims for Sam, he hits Dean, who has just gotten up, square under the chin, knocking him down again, which is also really funny. He goes down like a sack of potatoes. Grossman is now trying to strangle Sam. Sam desperately tries to reach for the rabbit's foot, which is almost out of reach. Sam just manages to grab it, then knocks Grossman's hand away from his throat and kicks him back into a corner. Sam gets up. Sam goes, "Dean, I got it." Wayne moves forward and cocks Dean's gun in Sam's face. Wayne's like, "No, you don't." Grossman gets his hands on Sam's gun while Wayne pulls the trigger on Sam. The gun jams. Wayne panics and tries to clear the chamber while Dean gets up and tries to stop him. Wayne is surprised and stumbles back, tripping over a rug and falling back over the couch. He knocks himself out. Sam and Dean look at each other confused. Grossman gets up and tries to point the gun at Sam. Dean's like, "Sam!" As Grossman moves, the books on the bookshelves behind him suddenly fall off and onto his head, knocking him out cold. Sam's gun flies out of his hand and Sam catches it. Dean looks astounded. Dean, that was a lucky break. "Is that a rabbit's foot?" Sam holds it up. "I think it is." Dean goes, "Huh."
Their faces were funny there when they're just like, huh.
Their faces give me life. That whole scene is so... I might watch it again after we finish recording. I honestly might put it on and just watch the whole episode again.
It's
Oh
funny.
my god, I love it so much.
So then they're in the car outside a convenience store, and Sam has been researching the rabbit's foot because, you know, he's research boy. And
He is.
he's been looking in John's journal and hasn't found anything about it. And Dean has been to buy scratch cards because that's his priorities.
Yeah. Well, he's smart.
Well, yeah, because they have a lucky rabbit's foot now.
Yeah.
And he hands them to Sam and tells him to scratch and win. And Sam is worried that it must be cursed because otherwise why would John have locked it up? And I went, "Yes, Sam, you are correct." They win $12,000 on the first card, and Dean is delighted, and then he says, "It doesn't seem cursed to me."
Yeah, Dean's just like, "Yes, this is what I've been waiting for my whole life. We're going to be rich."
So then, back at the apartment, Wayne wakes up and sees Grossman unconscious. He moves and sets a bottle rolling across the kitchen floor. He goes into the kitchen and steps over the bottle. And this is set up to make us think he's going to trip then, doesn't he? But he doesn't trip the first time.
I wrote, well, that empty bottle is very ominous.
So he steps over it and it's like, psych.
Yeah.
He goes to the sink and there's a huge fork, like a barbecue fork.
Mm-hmm.
Which is where I was like, this is suspicious. He stands it pointy side up in the drainer as well.
Yeah. I wrote, someone is going to get impaled on a barbecue fork, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then it happens and I went, ew.
Well, my initial notes were, I don't know how yet, but this big fork thing is going to be how he dies.
Yep. I was like, oh, he's going to get impaled. And then I was like, oh, I was horrified, but now it looks like a snake tongue and it's funny to me.
Yeah, it did. I thought that as well. Because I've written, he washes his face in the sink, he calls for Grossman again and goes to walk out of the kitchen. And this is when he slips on the bottle, falls backwards and gets skewered by the fork. And it goes right through the back of his head and sticks out of his mouth like some sort of horrific snake. Ew.
Yeah, I wrote you too.
And that was way more disgusting than I thought it was going to be. I knew it was going to happen, but it was so disgusting.
It was really horrible. And my knee-jerk initial reaction was super horrified and but then I couldn't unsee that it looked like a giant snake tongue, and I just found it really funny.
Yeah.
And I said it to Nick. Nick was looking at me like I was insane because I started sort of laughing a little bit. And I was like, it's a snake tongue. Look at it. And then he started laughing too. And I was like, see? So, yeah.
Yeah. And then Grayson wakes up from all the commotion and finds Wayne and screams.
It was a pretty decent scream, I thought.
He's he can be up there for the trophy.
The good screamers. We could have podcast awards, but instead of the streamies, it would be the screamies.
That's funny. So we cut back to the boys, and Dean is laying out all of the winning scratch cards on the front of the car, and Sam's on the phone to Bobby.
I wrote, why is con man Dean so sexy? This is a thirst trap. He is having the time of his life. Yeah, no, Dean is having the time of his life calculating how much money. And he's like, oh man. And he's literally thrilled. And then Sam's on the phone to Bobby. And Sam's like, now look, Bobby, we didn't know. And Bobby's screaming, you touched it? Damn it, Sam. And Sam's like, well, Dad never told us about this thing. I mean, you knew about his storage place and Black Rock. Like, he sounds like a kid getting told off by his father. Because obviously Bobby is his real father. Because, like, Bobby acts like a real dad. So, it's so funny.
He does.
Yeah. And then we cut to Bobby's home, and he's saying his lockup. Yeah, I knew. Hell, I built those curse boxes for him. And we're like, ooh, Bobby lore. Bobby is the magician, which is great and hilarious. Because you look at all the hunters, you wouldn't look at Bobby and be like, that one. That one is the stellar magician. That one's the one. But he is, and I love that. And Bobby says, listen, you've got a serious problem. And Sam notices that there's something shiny under a newspaper, and he goes to pick it up, and it's a gold watch that looks like it's like super fucking valuable.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Bobby's saying that rabbit's foot ain't no dime store notion. And it cuts back to Sam at the parking lot, who picks it up and shows it to Dean, and Dean just mouths awesome, because I feel like Dean knows that Sam's getting chewed out by Dad, but they're like having like a silent brother conversation where she's like, yes.
Dean's just so happy about all the good luck.
He's thriving. And I mean, he deserves some good luck. Like, we know what his life is. He's like, I'm finally getting a break. Bobby says it's real hoodoo, old world stuff. And we cut back into Bobby's house, and he says, made by a Baton Rouge conjure woman about 100 years ago. And Sam says it's a hell of a luck charm. And Bobby says, it's not a luck charm. It's a curse. She made it to kill people, Sam. And then Bobby says, see, you touch it, you own it. You own it? Sure, you get a run of good luck to beat the devil. But you lose it, and that luck turns. It turns so bad you're dead inside of a week.
Oh,
and
dear.
Sam puts this charm inside, like, the most giant pocket. And in my notes, I wrote down, yeah, sure, that seems to cure Sam, who went to Stanford. Okay.
I wrote, I guess Sam has a forever accessory now.
Yeah. Sam says, well, so I won't lose it, Bobby, while he's doing that in his silly giant pocket. And Bobby screams, everybody loses it. Because Bobby's like, that's the whole point. It's witchcraft, you dumbass. That's definitely the vibe. And Sam's like, well, then how do we break the curse? And Bobby's like, I don't know if you can.
Mr. Glass half empty.
Yeah. And Bobby says, let me look through my library and make some calls. And he says, just sit tight. And then he hangs up on Sam, and he's like, you're gonna die. Bye.
You could tell he's so annoyed. He's like, you could tell he's thinking, these bloody boys are going to be the death of me. They're a pain in the ass.
Yeah. And then Dean goes, dude, we're up 15 grand. And Sam's like, shit, I might die.
Yeah, he looks so worried.
It's so funny. Oh my God. I love it. I wrote down Dean's smile is everything. It is so nice to see him actually happy. I love that part so much, honestly. It was the best thing ever. And then we cut back to the Biggersons restaurant.
He's going to be even happier now.
Yeah. So they go inside, and Dean says, don't worry, Bobby will find a way to break it. Until then, I say we hit Vegas, pull a little Rain Man. You can be Rain Man. And Sam's like, look, we just lay low until Bobby calls back, okay? And then he walks in and there's the maitre d' guy. And he says, hi, table for two, please. And the restaurant owner screams, congratulations. And an alarm goes off. And Dean's like, yeah, it's exciting, I know. And the restaurant owner's shouting. So he's like, you are the 1 millionth guest of the Biggerson's restaurant family. And then all the staff start singing and taking photos, and balloons and streamers are exploding down from the ceiling. And Sam has this expression on his face. Dean is thriving. But I wrote, Sam looks like he was sucking on a lemon and then stubbed his big toe. Like, his face is hilarious. I sent screenshots of it to Laura while I was watching the episode back because I was just like, what is this face? Dean, on the other hand, looks like all of his birthdays have come at once. And I sent Laura a reel of like Jared talking about this, like talking about some of the behind the scenes for this episode. And he said that one of the things that he loves about Jensen is there are moments when he's acting happy, he could be his child. He was like in this shot, yeah. It looks like Jensen is his son, and he's like 6 years old. And I love that.
Yeah, he does. He looks so happy.
So it's outside of Kubrick's RV and Creedy's pickup, and it's daytime. And we cut in, and Kubrick's saying, right, you hear anything, give me a call. And then they're inside the RV. And Kubrick says, well, that clears my book. The word's out. Now we wait. And Creedy's like, now we eat. And Kubrick says, good idea. What do you like? I got canned everything. And I wrote down Dime Store Van Dam with the RV Jesus and the I got canned everything. And then I wrote down the Jeffrey Dean Morgan Jesus, because this is the scene where we see the painting of Jesus behind him that I am convinced looks like Jeffrey Dean Morgan was the basis for it. I'm going to find a photo, you guys, and I'm going to prove it. But Creedy goes on to say, no, man, not eating in the RV. Look, I know a place, wide menu, good service, homey atmosphere, garlic knots. The menu's on their website. And he doesn't look convinced. And bless them, Supernatural Wiki says there's a Jesus fish on the window of the RV. That's funny.
I wrote, when he said about the restaurant and the menu on the website, I wrote, this is going to be the same place that Sam and Dean are at, isn't it?
Yeah, and you were right.
Then we cut back to them, to Sam and Dean. Dean is researching the law of the rabbit's foot, and he looks like he's finishing off a banana split. And
he
says
gets an ice cream headache.
Yeah. He says they should only go to places with Biggersons from now on, and then gets a brain freeze.
Yeah. Immediately. It's amazing. And Sam literally laughs in his face, and I love it so much.
Yeah. And then a waitress comes over to give them more coffee. She spills it and then mops it up with a cloth. And she's leaning over Sam and getting really close to his face. And my initial notes were, that was suspicious. And she totes had a wig on. And it's Maggie from The Walking Dead. She walks away and we get a very male gaze view of her arse, I have to say. And then
yeah, that's true.
Sam and Dean lean in to check her out more as she walks away. And I noticed here that Dean, so he's just had a banana split, but he also had a sundae glass in front of him. So I think his whole dinner was just ice cream.
100% it is Dean.
And Sam doesn't have any plates in front of him, so he just had a coffee.
Yeah, Sam hasn't even started it on food, and Dean's already had like an entire meal of ice cream. That tracks. That tracks.
I mean, they were getting a free dinner, so
yeah.
Yeah, this is where I wrote, she's totally stolen the foot, which obviously she had. And we realise this when Sam knocks his coffee over straight away and gets up and knocks into a waiter with a tray full of dishes which go flying. Sam looks shocked, searches his pockets, and dun dun dun, the foot is gone. Yep. And Dean's like, son of a bitch.
And Sam says, oh geez. Because he like, and the way he collides with that guy, like there's the waiter carrying the tray, like Laura just said, and he smashes into him and everything goes fine. He just goes, oh geez, I cannot do it justice. But he's like so adorable. I don't know how, but he is so adorable.
I've mentioned that later. In this whole episode, he's just adorable.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. I don't even know how to like describe how cute this is, but he also this whole episode, whenever he falls or does anything, he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's so cute. It's so endearing. I swear to God, it's the most adorable thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
The physical comedy in this episode is just amazing.
It's god tier, honestly. Like, this is like Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton. Like,
yeah,
it's untouchable. And then I have to backtrack just a smidge to the part where Sam is dropping the lore. So he says, Bobby's right. This lore goes way back, pure hoodoo. You can't just cut one off any rabbit. It has to be in a cemetery under a full moon on a Friday the 13th. It turns out that that's actually correct. Like, word for word, when I looked it up, that's actually correct. So I'm going to read you guys the rabbit foot lore, okay? So it says, in some cultures, a rabbit foot is carried as an amulet believed to bring good luck. The belief is held by people in a great number of places around the world, including Europe, Africa, Australia, and North and South America. In variations of this superstition, the rabbit it came from must possess certain attributes, such as having been killed in a particular place, using a particular method, or by a person possessing particular attributes. That was such a tongue twister. So that is true. And then it goes on to say, the belief in North American folklore may originate in the system of folk magic known as hoodoo. A number of strictures attached to the charm are now observed mostly in that breach, namely that it must be the left hind foot of a rabbit which was shot or otherwise captured in a cemetery. Some sources tell that the rabbit must be taken by the full moon, others specifying the new moon. Some say instead that the rabbit must be taken on a Friday, or a rainy Friday, or a Friday the 13th. So all of what he just said actually checks out against the folklore, which I thought was really, really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Although, poor rabbits.
Yeah. That is sad for the rabbit.
Also, what is this show's obsession with hoodoo?
They love it. It is their favorite folklore. If I had to theorize, I think it's because hoodoo is true American folklore, because hoodoo was sort of born and created in America. And I know that its roots are in Africa, but it became its own sort of separate thing, didn't it? So it is truly like an American belief system. And I think because the show is about American folklore more than anything else, I think that's why they go back to it again and again. That would be my guess. So it goes on to say, the various rituals suggested by the sources, though they differ wildly from one to another, share a common element of the uncanny, and the reverse of what is considered good-omened and auspicious. A rabbit is an animal unto which shape-shifting witches such as Isabel Gowdy claimed to be able to transform themselves. Witches were said to be active at the time of the full and new moons. The cover to Rabbitfoot Blues, a blues song by Blind Lemon Jefferson, links the rabbit's foot tradition with the bones of the dead. The widely varying circumstances may share a common thread of suggestion that the true lucky rabbit's foot is actually cut from a shape-shifted witch. The suggestion that the rabbit's foot is a substitute for part from a witch's body is corroborated by other folklore from hoodoo. Willie Dixon's song Hoochie Coochie Man mentions a black cat bone along with his mojo and his John the Conqueror. All are artifacts in hoodoo magic. Given the traditional association between black cats and witchcraft, a black cat bone is also potentially a substitute for a human bone from a witch. Hoodoo lore also uses graveyard dust, soil from a cemetery, for various magical purposes. Dust from a good person's grave keeps away evil. Dust from a sinner's grave is used for more nefarious magic. The use of graveyard dust may also be a symbolic appropriation of the parts of a corpse as a relic and another form of sympathetic magic. So, a 1905 anecdote also tells that Booker T. Washington and Baron Ladislaus Hengelmuller, the ambassador from Austria, got their overcoats confused when they were both in the White House to speak with President Roosevelt. The ambassador noticed that the coat he had taken in was not his when he went into the pocket searching for his gloves, and instead found, quote, the left hind foot of a graveyard rabbit killed in the dark of the moon, end quote. But how would you know? Was there a piece of paper? Was there a certificate of authenticity that said that on it? That's what I want to know. It says other newspaper stories reported the incident but omitted the detail about the rabbit's foot. A related good luck ritual in Britain and the United States today is to say rabbit, rabbit, rabbit upon waking on the first day of a month to bring good luck over the remainder of that month. And that is true because I was raised with that superstition. And I've met a couple of other people here, but that seems to be like very British, UK particular, which is interesting. So it links back in and talks about how witches were believed to be able to transform into hares or rabbits. Now, they say to cause mischief, which is what the witch finders said. But really, it was to escape witch hunts. Like, if you actually believe the records and the lore, the idea was that women could transform themselves into rabbits to escape witch hunters. And that if you shot a witch who had transformed into a rabbit or a hare, then the women would have the same injury. So, like, they used to try to catch specific rabbits or hares as part of the witch trials and injure them or kill them. And then they would claim to find the woman with the same injuries on her body. Now, is that a convenient excuse? Absolutely yes, and I'm sure it was used that way. But it's also really fascinating folklore, like the idea that witches could transform themselves into wild hares to escape the evils of men. Kind of cool.
I think I've heard that before. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's really everywhere. So in South Downs National Park, there are stories of witches turning into hares. I've heard it in Scotland when I was living there, and they also mentioned Isabel Gowdy. She confessed to witchcraft. Now, obviously, like, those confessions are all forced, but one of the things they made her confess to was being sent on an errand from the devil in the form of a hare. So, like, there's a really strong linked belief about women being able to transform themselves into hares, but especially magical women. And I think that I wonder if it goes back to goddess worship, if it's a leftover from that in some way. So it says other beliefs about hares and witches are that hares in general were almost always referred to as female, because at the time many people thought them to all be female, that there was no such thing as a male hare. So that's how closely the concept of femininity and rabbits and hares was.
That doesn't work from a biology point of view, then, does it?
No, it doesn't. Superstition, though, not science, isn't it? So hares were often associated with evil during different times, while rabbits were associated with good luck. Crossing a hare's path was said to be bad luck, similarly to like crossing a black cat's path was supposed to be bad luck, which is absolutely not true. It's the opposite. But
I love black cats.
I love black cats too, as we should, because they're awesome. Be kind to black cats, adopt them from shelters. They get a lot of stick because people are superstitious and they're dumb and they don't realize that it's actually the inverse. So if you were actually a witch, you would know that it's that black cats are supposed to be really good luck. But the Christians have lied to everyone and said that they're bad luck, which is just trashy.
Justice for black cats.
Yeah. So fishermen were superstitious and would return to shore if they saw a rabbit as they were setting out to sea. Which is like, again, this fascinates me because women weren't allowed anywhere near boats because of the association of witchcraft and women being able to summon storms at will, which is really cool, actually. Like, it's both awful and really cool. So, like, the fact that they would see a rabbit and be like, oh no, feminine. We must not go to sea, lads. It's dangerous. So there are also art murals in, forgive my pronunciation, Soderby Karl Church in Sweden that depict milk hares helping witches gather milk. So hares as a familiar to witches. And I thought that was kind of fun. There's definitely a crossover between witchcraft and fairy folklore happening between witches and hares. So like when we discussed Bridget Cleary last week, I think there's more of a connection between the concept of the original folklore and beliefs and witches and women than we really normally discuss. Like, I think they're much more linked than we tend to think about them. And I just think it's kind of fascinating.
Yeah. That is fascinating. I liked that. So then I didn't know what Bella's name was, so I called her Maggie until then. So right, we then see Maggie walking away from the restaurant with the foot, taking off her wig and throwing it away. Sam and Dean run outside and Sam slips over. This is really funny. But Sam's grazed knees were disgusting, and also there was a lot of blood there for just a little trip. His jeans were totally ripped. Did you notice?
Yeah. I said the whoa, and then Sam falls, and I wrote, ah ha 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 ha.
So we cut back to Kubrick and Creedy looking up the menu of Biggersons, discussing what they like. Creedy looks up the nearest location, and as the website loads, he gets a shocked look on his face and turns the laptop around to show Kubrick. And the reason they're so shocked? Because the photo of Sam and Dean with the big check and all the balloons is on the website. And I wrote, now that was some quick website updating from the restaurant.
Yep.
And then Kubrick smiles in a super creepy way and looks up at the ceiling, or heaven, I guess, as he's now thinking that God is helping him.
Yeah.
And I just wrote, Jesus, guy's creepy. He's friends with Gordon, so probably another psycho.
Yeah, I agree. I love the filthy laughter. So Creedy cracks up and it's like absolutely evil laughter. And I wrote, I love this guy's filthy laughter. I thought that was absolutely hilarious.
So then we cut to Grossman, who is pouring one out for Wayne and saying goodbye. Sam and Dean walk into the apartment and he's like, what do you want? Dean says they heard about his friend and Grossman tells them to piss off. Dean says they know someone hired them to steal the rabbit's foot because she just stole it back from them, and then Grossman starts laughing at them, which I thought, well, fair.
Yeah.
And then Sam starts to say, listen, man, this is serious, but he trips over a cable and knocks the lamp over. And Dean's reaction was funny because he doesn't actually look back at Sam, but he asks if he's okay.
Wait, because it's more. So he steps forward, trips on a wire on the floor mid-sentence, pulling a CD player off a shelf and sending it towards himself. He trips on that, then tries to save himself, but what's in front of him is like a lamp and a whole bunch of other things that are not going to save him because he's a big, tall, heavy dude. But he's grabbing at them. He's windmilling before he like face plants completely, and he's like, whoa. I wrote down, I watched Sam fall so many times. Not gonna lie, I rewound this at least 3 times. It's the way he grabs at things that there's no way they're gonna save him. It still says, whoa, like he's surprised. Oh, God. It took me out. And then Dean says, Sam, you okay? And Sam, from behind the couch, says, yeah, I'm good. And it's so pathetic and so adorable. And I wrote, Dean is the thirst trap. Because he's checking on his brother when he goes, you okay? It's hot. It's hot. It's a thirst trap. And Sam's face in the background of this conversation, I wrote down, he looks like a sad puppy, 10 out of 10, adorable.
Yeah, he basically looks like that for the whole episode.
The whole rest of the episode, that is his default expression. And it's the best.
Did you notice here that behind them you can see Grossman's doorway and they've got a upside down horseshoe above the door?
Yes, I did.
That's not going to help with your bad luck.
So interestingly, depending on the place where you come from. So like most people, the horseshoe should be upright to hold the good luck for you, right?
Yeah.
Now there are a few places where they say it should be down to pour good luck on you as you enter your home and act as protection. And most of that was linked to the idea that the iron would repel the fairies and like any bad luck or evil eye or whatever. So like it can be either way, but general preference, like the most popular belief is that it should be the other way around. I do think it being supernatural, that probably is like a little bit of an inside joke to be like, you put the fucking horseshoe the wrong way around.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the lore.
I like the link either way to like that is a link to luck, isn't it? Which I thought was a nice little detail.
It is a great detail. I love their prop department. They're geniuses. And set design, just everyone is a genius on this show. I also love Dean's speech. This was also a thirst trap when he says, he's explaining to Grossman that like his brother's gonna die if they don't find it, and that his buddy's death wasn't a fluke. And he says, you know I'm not, because he's like, you're crazy. And Dean's like, you know I'm not. You saw what happened, what it did. All the flukes, all the luck. When you lose that foot, the luck goes sour. That's what killed your friend, and my brother here is next. And who knows how many more innocent people after that. Now, if you don't help us stop this thing, that puts those deaths on your head. And he looks really worried. And then Dean says, now I can read people, and I get it. You're a thief and a scumbag. That's fine, but you're not a killer, are you? And Grossman looks at him and he's like, no. And it's just so cute. Like, Dean is all powerful and awesome.
I read that Dean was guilt tripping him.
He is, but it's awesome. And I was just like, it's a thirst trap. He's so also, sexy.
It's funny when he says, I forgot what it was already. that, I can read people, because that comes back again later.
I know. It's so funny, which is one of the reasons why I really wanted all these lines in here so that later when it comes up again, it's even funnier. God, it's good. And then, okay, so we cut back outside, and it's the Biggersons restaurant at night, and Kubrick is there, leaning against his RV, and his bumper stickers say, "How would Jesus drive? Don't make me come down there, God." And Bethlehem or bust.
He's a crazy Jesus guy.
I wrote, this guy is nuts.
Yeah. I liked Creedy's tinfoil swan, though. He comes out with with his leftovers in a swan.
Yeah, I have never been anywhere where they do that.
I feel like places where you get like a doggy bag, but not made into a swan.
Yeah, I feel like it's just a TV thing.
It's such a waste of tinfoil to make like the head and the neck. They could have chosen a different kind of bird. Why does it have to be a swan?
Thank you for that rant, Laura. Okay, so this part's funny because Creedy comes out from the restaurant and he says, no one saw which way they went and their meal was free, so there's no credit card trail. And Kubrick says, don't worry, we'll find him. And he has got a really weird expression on his face. And Creedy says, what makes you so sure? Creedy's looking at this man like, who am I friends with? And Kubrick says, because there's a higher power at work here. I know it. I know it now.
Yeah, of course.
And he's insane. It's really funny, but it's also low key creepy. I thought that was a great balance.
He is creepy. Yeah, he's a good villain. And because he's crazy, it makes him scarier. Like unpredictable, aren't they?
For sure. Totally agree with you.
So Sam and Dean leave the apartment, and Dean's phone rings, and it's Bobby telling Dean he's found a cleansing ritual. And then Sam steps in gum. Dean tells Bobby, that's great. But Sam's lost the foot, and Bobby's like, what? And then Dean carries on explaining the situation to Bobby. Well, and I bet, he's describing the hot chick that stole the foot. And then meanwhile, in the background, Sam has found a drain to scrape his shoe on and is trying to get rid of the gum. Oh dear. Dean tells Bobby her name, which is Bela Lugosi, which we talked about earlier. And Bobby knows who she is because Bobby knows everyone.
Yeah.
And then Sam loses his trainer down the drain.
That was so British.
His trainer. His sneaker.
No one in America would know what you're talking. They'd be like, his personal trainer?
His sneakers.
His shoe falls down the drain because it was broken.
And then Dean asks Bobby if Bella is a hunter, and Bobby says, pretty friggin' far from a hunter, which I thought was funny. But we never get any more context. He doesn't say who she is. He just says she's not a hunter.
Yeah.
But he says he might know someone who could find her, obviously, and tells Dean to just look out for your brother, you idiot. And puts the phone down.
Yeah. So good.
This whole scene is just classic.
It is.
And then this is where we get the I lost my shoe, because Dean looks back at Sam and he's just, the whole time that Bobby's on the phone, he's just looking like a sad seal.
He looks so sad.
And he's just like, I lost my shoe.
I wrote, why is Sam so adorable?
Yeah, I put, it's an adorable trap.
It is. And then he wiggles his toes and he just looks so, it just adds to it. He just looks so sad. He's like, I lost my shoe. And then he wiggles his sad little toes and his sad little sock.
I love how Dean's just had enough of him at this point. He just shakes his head and walks off.
Yeah, Dean's just like, ugh.
He hasn't got any sympathy anymore.
No.
So this bad luck is wearing thin.
Yeah, he literally rolls his eyes and then walks away. And Sam just hangs his head. And I just want to hug him because he is now the precious baby angel. Like, there's nothing more adorable than Sam in this scene. Like, I love Dean. I will die a Dean girl. But Dean, who is so adorable, it is never going to be as adorable as Sam when he loses his shoe. And I'll die on that hill.
Yeah, it's cute. So I had a thought during this scene. And I was thinking about this last week as well. But it's interesting to me that the writers don't see Bobby in the same way as they saw like the Roadhouse and Ash. Because when we were saying they didn't like it because it had become too
Homey.
yeah, and like they say that it's too comfortable. They didn't want anything too comfortable for them. And
Yeah.
like he's basically their dad. And now I love Bobby, don't get me wrong, so I'm not dissing Bobby here. I just had a
Yeah.
thought. But like Bobby, they call him all the time. He's become like a convenient thing. So if they need to know something, they can just call Bobby, which is what they were doing with Ash at the beginning of season 2 as well. So I just thought that was quite interesting.
I agree. I think that what it is as writers, when you have isolated characters that you want to keep isolated for the drama, you still need
Yeah.
a way for them to get information and have conversations with other people. Otherwise, it gets kind of stale. And I think that Bobby, at this point in the plot, serves that purpose. So he gives them information that otherwise they would need to get from their dad's journal or their dad, who's now dead. They blew up the roadhouse. Ellen's in the wind, presumably. So, like, they're giving them this one point of contact, but Bobby isn't a place that they're like, they do go there, but they're not going there to the same degree that they went to the roadhouse. It's not exactly the same thing. It's not a whole community. It's one grumpy old man who happens to be a redneck who's super awesome at magic. And it just like, so the vibe works. The vibe works really well. I think this was what they were aiming for when they decided that they needed to change things up. And I think they finally figured out what they needed. So yeah, I do agree with you. And I think that is what happened.
It does worry me though, because they were like, oh yeah, we needed to kill everyone because it was too convenient. And I'm like, don't kill Bobby.
Well, Laura, you know how on Supernatural, everyone's at risk.
No.
Sorry.
So Sam and Dean are driving up to a motel, and some time must have passed because Dean is on the phone to Bobby again, and he's already found where Bella lives. Dean says that she's in Queens, and it'll take him about 2 hours to get there. And he's making Sam stay at the motel so that his bad luck doesn't get them killed. And I wrote, I'm sure this is going to be fine. Sam won't get into any trouble, and nothing bad could possibly happen with this plan.
I love it so much. So I got to the motel, and I write down pretty bubble motel. Yes, for me. I would stay in this motel. I like it.
Oh, yeah, I've got notes about the motel. Oh, I've put, this is definitely a motel set that we've seen before, but it's been redecorated. I thought it was very nice, very teal, and that's my favourite colour, and it has black furniture.
Yeah, so we both said yes. 10 out of 10. Would recommend to a friend. So Dean unlocks the door and takes Sam inside, and he turns on the light, and Sam says, what am I even supposed to do, Dean? And Dean says, nothing. Nothing. Come here. I don't want you to do anything. I want you to sit right here. And he pulls a chair into the middle of the room and says, and don't move, okay? Don't turn on the light. Don't turn off the light. Don't even scratch your nose. And Sam sits in the chair and watches Dean leave, locking the door behind him. And Sam wrinkles his nose a couple of times, like, because telling him that he can't scratch his nose makes his nose itch. And then he scratches his nose.
I like how he had to check that Dean had left first. He kind of like just double checks that he's gone before he scratches his nose.
He's just a little baby puppy dog. It is adorable.
I have to say, though, I don't think they've thought this plan through because, granted, they haven't had a lot of time to think it through, but the last guy died almost instantly, so Sam could very well die in the time it takes Dean to go to Queens and back.
I mean, that's a good point.
He does nearly.
It's, yeah, valid. So we see Bella's apartment. We see you see Dean driving over the bridge and getting in, and you see Bella's apartment, and it's really well decorated. She's on the phone. It says she talks with an affected British accent, but I really thought her actual accent was just British. Like, I thought she was just British.
It was pretty good, I have to say. Yeah, her accent was good.
Like, I thought her character is British. Like, I feel like she keeps talking in a British accent. Maybe not. I don't know. I lived half my life in America and half my life here, and
yeah, and I think she's supposed to be British, but the actress that plays her isn't.
I don't know. Confusion has taken me. So yeah, so I'm gonna stand by. I think she's supposed to be actually a British character. That's what I've got to say about that. Okay, so she says, because you shook on 1.5, well, maybe I should just take it somewhere else. And she has apparently it's a seal point Siamese cat, according to Supernatural Wiki.
That cat's, yeah, cute.
Really pretty cat that she has that she pets. And she says, don't threaten me, Luke. Despite your reputation, you don't scare me. And then her security in the background flickers and you see Dean walking on the scene. Okay. And you know that he's about to commit some fuckery and it's really exciting and fun. And when I saw all of her decorations and realized that she's such a hustler and she's petting the cat, I wrote, oh, she's Catwoman to Dean's Batman. And that's what I maintained for this whole episode. She is Catwoman. He is Batman. And it is amazing. Okay? Amazing. All right. So she is only handling the rabbit's foot with tongs and things. She's very careful to never actually touch it herself. She sees that there's something going on. She like senses something. The cat hisses. She gets a gun out of her wine cooler because of course that's where you would keep a gun, I guess.
So I was like, what?
Nick, when we were watching it, says keep it nice and cold, I guess. Like, I understand that it's supposed to add to her mystique and that she probably has a whole bunch of different weapons stashed around her apartment because she's Catwoman. But it was funny.
It was very like Bond villain as well.
Yeah, it was very Bond villain. So she walks through the living room and sees that the door is ajar at the front. And then she sees that there's a beeping noise on her alarm. And when she looks at it, it says error. And there's a bright yellow Post-it note stuck to the panel that says turn around. And Dean appears right behind her with his gun drawn. And she turns and draws her gun. And so they're just having this face off. And he says, you left without your tip. And she just kind of smirks at him. And I'm like, oh, Catwoman, Batman.
That was a good line, you left without your tip.
It is amazing.
Also, I have a question. Does everyone on this show have green eyes? She's got green eyes as well.
Everyone does.
Because, yeah, everyone has green eyes. And I've got green eyes, and I always got told that it was really rare, but apparently not on Supernatural.
Green eyes are the rarest color. Are your eyes green?
Yeah.
Huh.
But everyone on Supernatural has green eyes, so it's not that rare.
They only hire green-eyed actors.
I could get on it.
You could, yeah.
If it hadn't finished.
Maybe when they come back on. I maintain that they're still gonna come back on in some way, shape, or form. That's my dream. Also, can I just say that the turnaround Post-it note, I wrote, shut up, Dean is so hot, this is the thirst trap. It was menacing, and I thought that was sexy. Because I'm not right in the head, as we've established.
No. So we got back to the motel, and Sam's had enough. And I just thought he's so funny. He's rocking on his chair, looking bored. And then we hear some clanging sounds coming from the air conditioning unit. And smoke starts entering the room. And I put, no, it's not demon dust this time. It's fire from the vents.
Mm-hmm.
Sam says, oh, come on. I wasn't.
It's so adorable.
He is so cute. And his face is saying, this isn't great, but I'm not supposed to move. But now I'm going to have to.
I write down that I thought you were going to say fire baby.
Not yet.
I wasn't expecting demon dust.
Demon dust.
Yeah.
I have to say it at least once. Every episode, demon dust.
Yeah.
This is where I wrote Sam is just an adorable chap all episode. He walks slowly over to it, to the air conditioning unit, to the fire.
Mm-hmm.
And when he gets close, it sets fully on fire. And he tries putting it out with the bedspread. And then he thinks he's got it and his sleeve catches fire.
Yeah.
And he puts it out with the curtain, but he rips the curtain off the pole and falls over as well. And then this is where we see that Kubrick and Creedy are standing outside the window. And they're looking inside at him, who's now passed out on the floor.
Because he knocks himself out.
He must have hit his head or something on the floor, I'm guessing.
Yeah. He falls so hard from the curtain that he knocks himself out and passes out. And they're just like, well, this is amazing. And then fucking Kubrick looks up like, yes, my lord, my savior, because he's
Sky
fucking
Daddy.
insane. Sky Daddy, yeah. So funny.
That's funny.
So then Back at Bella's apartment, Dean and Bella are engaged in a standoff still. And Dean says, "You're going to give it back." And she laughs and says, "Sweetie, no, I'm not." And Dean says, "Yeah, well, we'll see. Bella, right?" And she says, "That's right, Dean." And Dean says, "You know that thing's cursed, don't you?" And she's like, "You'd be surprised what some people will pay for something like that." And Dean's like, "Really?" And then she explains that there's so much money to be made and hunters are idiots. She's like, "You could literally put your children's children through school with one of the talismans that you guys have." And Dean says, "So you know the truth about what's really going on out there, and this is what you decide to do with it? You become a thief?" And Bella says, "I procure unique items for a select clientele." And Dean says, "Yeah, a thief." And I wrote down,
He's so
"Dean, you're
disapproving.
so sexy when you're a hypocrite." Because we all know that Dean is a thief. Also, this entire episode, for the rest of the episode, he's just in a thief off with Bella. All he wants to do is prove that he's the better thief. It is a thief off. And then Bella, in return, says, "No, a great thief." And she smiles really wickedly. And again, Catwoman. She's Catwoman.
I like this. I'm on board.
Thank you. Thank you. And then I wrote, she low-key has a point about hunters, though. Because she calls them a group of sociopaths, like violent sociopaths, so bent on revenge that they can't see past their own noses, basically. And I was like, that's kind of true.
She kind of knows what she's talking about because her house is like if she lives in Queens and she's got a huge house with loads of like artwork on the walls. So she's obviously doing well for herself, being a thief.
She really, really is. Yeah.
So then we're back at the motel and Sam is coming to as Creedy is duct taping him to a chair. Creedy is amused that Sam knocked himself out and they didn't have to do anything. Although he calls them something I'm not going to repeat. Sam asks who they are, and Kubrick cuts him off by clicking his fingers, like rude.
Yeah.
He says he thought Gordon had sent him, because he did. He literally did. And Sam's like, "Oh, for fuck's sake, not Gordon. Could this day get any worse?"
He really is. You can see it all on his face.
And then Kubrick says he asked me to track you down and put a bullet in your brain. And Sam says, "Great, that sounds like him."
Yeah, that part's so funny.
But then Kubrick says, now he thinks he's on a mission from God. And I just went, "Yeah, mate, of course you are."
Yeah. And then he hits Sam across the face and it was,
"Yeah,
bitch."
Poor Sam. He is not having a good day.
No, he's not having a good day. So then we cut back to the Dean and Bella standoff. And Dean says, "Look, Bella, my brother, he touched the foot. And when you took it from him, his luck went from..." And she just says, "I know how it works." And then Dean says, "So you know he's going to die unless we can destroy it." And she says, "Oh, you can have the foot." And Dean looks really surprised. And then she says, "For 1.5 million. And he's like, "Yeah, I'll just call my banker." And then he's like, "How did you even find the damn thing?" And she looks over at this Ouija board and says that the spirits of the people who died from the foot are still kind of attached to it and know where it is. And that's how she found it. And I thought that was pretty funny. And then he accuses her of only being out for herself. And she says her line about the hunters being a bunch of revenge-driven sociopaths trying to save a world that can't be saved. And he says, "Well, aren't you a glass half full?" And she says, "We're all going to hell, Dean. Might as well enjoy the ride." And he says, "I actually agree with you there." And he's like so serious.
Yeah, well, that's where he's headed.
Exactly. So that part is amazing. And then he says, "Anywho, this has been charming, but look at the time. Oh, and this." And then he shows her that he stole the rabbit's foot from under her nose, and she looks so pissed. And it's amazing. And he says, "Looks like you're not the only one with sticky fingers. If it's any consolation to you, I think you're a truly awful person." And then so she starts shooting at him, but obviously he has the rabbit's foot, so she can't hit him at all. And she starts like breaking all of her own shit until her cat almost gets got. And she's like, "No, that's too far." Because again, she's Catwoman. She's like, "I've got to protect my precious fur baby." So Dean goes, "See ya," right before he leaves. Runs out and she just sighs. And it's the best thing that I have
funny, this
ever seen. I love this episode so much.
Same. So then we're back at the motel again, and Kubrick is accusing Sam of being part of the Yellow-Eyed Demon's plan to open the gate to hell. And Sam's explaining that they tried to stop it, but Kubrick says, lie, lie, lie. You were in on it, and you know what their next move is, don't you? And Sam says no, but Kubrick is a prick and isn't having any of it, and he punches our sweet, sweet Sam. And he says Gordon told him about Sam's psychic powers. And basically every time Sam tries to defend himself, he gets punched. And this was actually really hard to watch, I thought.
It was really difficult to watch. All I was thinking was that Dean is gonna like really beat the shit out of these guys, because anytime anybody touches Sam, like they get fucked up pretty hardcore by Dean, because it's really, really hard to watch, especially because Sam has been the victim of A, his own clumsiness, and B, like has been completely adorable this whole episode. So it's like even worse than it would normally be, because he's like an adorable baby this entire episode.
He's definitely like the little brother.
Yeah, for sure. So Kubrick punches Sam and he calls him a liar, and then he says no more lies. There's an army of demons out there pushing a world already on the brink. We're on deck for the endgame here, right? So maybe, just maybe, you can understand why we can't take chances. And then he draws his gun and points it at Sam.
Yeah. But it's like Kubrick is just totally unhinged and thinks he's on a mission from God. And it's like, how do you fight that?
Yeah, you can't. He's insane. He's like a fanatic.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do. You just have to kill that dude.
Mm-hmm. So then he pulls a gun on Sam, who is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And even Creedy tries to stop him. He then tries to get Creedy to understand the God thing by saying a whole load of coincidences and trying to say that they're not just coincidences and saying it's destiny. And this is where Dean turns up.
Yeah, so Dean goes, whoa. And Kubrick aims the gun at Sam's forehead point blank, and Sam squeezes his eyes shut. And then there's the sound of another gun being cocked across the room. And Dean says, nope, no destiny, just a rabbit's foot. And Kubrick, it is a thirst trap. Thank you, Laura. Thank you. And Kubrick says, put the gun down, son, or you're going to be scraping brain off the wall. And Dean says, oh, this thing? And Kubrick says, yeah, that thing. And Dean says, okay, but see, there's something about me that you don't know. And Dean puts his gun down, looking smug, and picks up a pen sitting next to it. And Kubrick says, yeah, what would that be? And Dean says, it's my lucky day. And then he tosses the pen towards Kubrick. It lodges itself in the barrel of Kubrick's gun, and Sam looks super impressed. And Dean laughs and says, oh my God, did you see that shot? And Creedy lunges at Dean and aims a punch. Dean easily sidesteps, and Creedy runs straight into the wall, falling backwards and hitting the floor. Kubrick stares at the pin in the barrel for a few moments, trying to dislodge it. Dean says, I'm amazing. Dean picks up the TV remote from the table and throws it hard at Kubrick, who is just about to aim for Dean. It hits Kubrick right between the eyes, knocking him out cold. He drops like a stone. Dean says, I'm Batman. And Sam, being completely sarcastic, says, yeah, you're Batman.
I love that. I think I like Sam's reaction more than the I'm Batman.
I wrote down, I'm Batman. I put a heart next to it, highlighted it, underlined it, because he is Batman. Thank you very much. And I wrote down Sam, all sarcastic. Shh. Like, he's saving you, Sammy. He came here to save you. And you're
coming. That makes it even funnier.
No. Rejected. Bad Sam.
I think Sam's hilarious there.
Of course you do. You're like Sam biased, though.
You're Dean biased.
Yeah, but I'm also right.
Not right.
Sam's right. I'm right. No, Dean. Yeah. So then we cut to a cemetery at nighttime, and Sam is crouching over this ritual where they're putting a bunch of ingredients in. So it's bone ash, cayenne pepper. And he says that should do it. And Dean says 1 second. And Sam says, Dean, you? And he says, hey, back off, Jinx. I'm bringing home the bacon. And he's got all these scratch cards and stuff.
He's still got the scratch cards.
Put it over a gravestone. And he says, all right, say goodbye to this wascally wabbit. And then you hear a gun cocking, which is even funnier given that he just did like an Elmer Fudd impersonation. Yeah. And it's Bella, all British villain, suave and sexy. And she says, I think you'll find that belongs to me, or, whatever. because he keeps calling her a thief, and she knows she's a thief. And it's just so funny when she's like, or whatever. And it's also kind of villain dialogue. So the or whatever just sends it for me. It makes it 10 times funnier. And then she says, put the foot down, honey. And Dean says, no, you're not going to shoot anybody. See, I happen to be able to read people. Okay, you're a thief, fine, but you're not. And he's obviously going to say, but you're not a killer, are you? But he's interrupted because she shoots Sam in the shoulder. And Dean's like, son of a... And she says, back off, Tiger. Back off. You make one more move and I'll pull the trigger. And again, Catwoman references. Sam gets up and he's clutching into his sad Sam face, and he's been shot. I can't. He's so adorable. He's so adorable. And Bella says, you've got the luck, Dean. You, I can't hit. But your brother, him, I can't miss. Because obviously Sam still has the run of bad luck, right? So Dean has the best luck ever and Sam has the worst luck ever right now. And she's absolutely right. Like, whatever she does, he's going to get hit with the bullet. And Dean just says, what the hell's wrong with you? You don't just go around shooting people like that. And I was like, that is rich coming from you, sir. Like, that is, again, hypocrisy. The hypocrisy is a 10 out of 10. And I wrote down Dean's meltdown is hilarious right now. And Bella says, relax, it's a shoulder hit. I can aim. Besides, who here hasn't shot a few people? And I was like...
True.
That is completely accurate. She's not wrong, okay? And she says, put the rabbit's foot on the ground, now. And Dean says, all right, take it easy. And he goes like he's going to drop the rabbit's foot, but instead he throws it directly at Bella and says, think fast. And obviously her being Catwoman, she catches it. And then she goes, oh. Like, she doesn't say it out loud, but you can see the silent, oh, fuck. No.
Yeah.
And
I thought this was genius.
Dean smiles like the cat that ate the fucking canary. It is absolute genius. And then Bella's like, damn. And Dean says, now, what do you say we destroy that ugly-ass piece of dead thing? And she just sighs like this motherfucker. It is the best thing I have ever seen in my entire life. I wrote down, Dean, you sexy bastard.
He's so smug about it as well, which is funny.
It is my favorite thing in life, honestly. Like, it's just the best.
Yeah. So then they destroy the foot in the magic fire, I wrote. Magic fire.
It is a magic fire. You're not wrong. It stands.
Like, thanks a lot. I've lost 1.5 million and I'm on the bad side of a powerful psychotic fire. And Dee's like, I don't care. And Sam agrees.
Yeah, he says, wow, I really don't feel bad about that, Sam. And Sam says, nope, not even a little. And he's like holding his shoulder where she shot him and he's like glaring at her. And there's nothing like a Sam glare, okay? It's amazing. And then she says, maybe next time I'll hang you out to dry. And then she goes to lean on the gravestone where Dean's jacket is, which is important, okay? And Dean says, oh, don't go away angry, just go away. And she smirks at him and says, have a nice night, boys. Again, very Catwoman-like. Okay, and she sashays away. And the rabbit's foot is burning in the fire.
I just wrote in my notes here that she's stolen the scratch cards because I was like, I know what she's doing.
You're smarter than me because I didn't realize what had happened until I saw it. And then I just wrote...
she puts her hand on the pocket as well, like over his pocket.
I didn't notice any of that because I was so busy thinking of how adorable Sam was and how like Dean was being a hot but amazing hypocrite. That I literally missed all of it, like all of it. Then in the next part, Dean is talking to Sam and he's saying, you good? And they're like walking through the graveyard.
Right, they have a shovel. So have they buried...
Disheveled with a shovel.
Yeah, there was another disheveled with a shovel. That was cool. Did they bury the rabbit's foot?
Yeah.
Why do they need like their big, massive grave digging shovels?
I assume that they only have the big shovels in the trunk of the Impala and not like a trowel or something, and that they buried the fire to put the fire out because they're responsible and they understand that only you can prevent forest fires. Or in this case, cemetery fires.
I'm not mad at it anyway, because we know that for some reason I like Sam when he's carrying a shovel.
It's true. We all know that you love Sam with a shovel. The ultimate thirst trap is Sam with a shovel of any kind. Disheveled with a shovel is Laura's favorite.
So Dean asks Sam if he's okay, and he says, I'll live. And Dean says that they're back to normal again. No bad luck, no good luck. And then he remembers the scratch cards in his pocket, and he says he forgot that they're up $46,000. And then he realizes that they're gone. And then we hear and see a car screeching away, honking the horn. And Sam and Dean look at each other in disbelief. And then we cut to Bella driving with the scratch cards and laughing. And then we cut back to the boys, and there's a pause. And Dean's out, "Son of a bitch!" And I wrote,
"This is so good."
This was funny for two reasons. One, Jensen's face and how he's waving his arms around as he says that. And then two, Jared's breaking character and laughing, because this is clearly one of those lines they had to do multiple times. Because I'd noticed that he was laughing, and then I saw a fun fact on IMDb that said it was ad-libbed, and you can see Jared break character and laugh.
Yeah.
So it wasn't meant to be there. That was funny.
Yeah. I wrote down, "Oh, she stole his tickets." And then I wrote down Catwoman in screaming all caps, because that's the most Catwoman move of all time. And then I'd written down, "Son of a bitch" is one of my favorite lines. And then Sam cracking and laughing was amazing. And I saw a reel that I sent to you, or you were going to send it to me. Like, I think we've both seen it, which was Jared talking in an interview at a con about that scene and saying that one of the reasons why he ended up cracking up was because they'd been there like all night long, because she kept driving by too fast, or it wasn't fast enough. And they had to retake this scene over and over and over again. And people were low key losing their minds. And then when Jensen delivers the son of a bitch, he like really means it. And it's like not supposed to be. That's just him being like, "Son of a bitch." Like, because they've been there all day and all night. They've just been trying to get this, obviously not really literally all day, but like for hours, like they have been trying to get this scene right. And he just has a meltdown. And his meltdown is the real Jensen, son of a bitch. So like, this is where Jensen is Dean and Dean is Jensen. And Jared dies laughing, which we get to see in the scene, but it works. So they left it there. And I just think it's absolute comedy gold. And it makes the episode for me. I love it so much.
So then we cut to the prison again, and Kubrick is talking to Gordon, filling him in on what happened and saying that he was right about Sam. And Gordon asks what convinced him, and he says that God led me to him, and his will is clear. And you can tell that Gordon's like, okay, whatever.
He says, "Okay, that's great."
It's like, whatever you have to believe, as long as it gets you on my side.
Yeah. He's like, "You're insane, but you could possibly help me out, so I'm just going to string you along now."
Yeah. He then says that they need to get him out of there because Sam Winchester must die. And that's the end of the episode. And I wrote at the end, "Okay, Gordon, you psychotic but sexy man, you."
Also, he calls Sam the adversary. Kubrick says that Sam Winchester is more than a monster. He's the adversary.
Not our sweet Sam.
Omen music plays in the background.
He's been so adorable all episode.
He is so adorable. So adorable.
So yeah, this is definitely my favourite episode so far. At least this season. But
this is my favorite episode so far too.
Yeah. It's so good. So funny.
It's so good. Also, for fun, I added into my show notes, for those who are curious, historic streaks of both good and bad luck. And they're really, really, really fascinating. They're really interesting. One of them was the woman who won the lottery. I think it's like 4 times in the state of Texas.
Cool.
It's really fascinating. There's a guy who survived both bombings in Japan. Like, he worked in one town. I think he worked in Hiroshima and then went to, I want to say it's Nagasaki off the top of my head. So he survived both Hiroshima and the Nagasaki atomic bombings during World War II. He's incredible, actually. His name was I'm trying, you guys. Let me go again. Tsutomu Yamaguchi. He lived to be in his 80s or 90s in the end, even though he survived both bombings. But he was actually incredible because he became an advocate for nuclear disarmament. In his 80s, he wrote a book about his experiences, which is called A Life Well Lived, and a book of poetry, took part in a documentary, and went in front of places like the United Nations to get rid of nuclear weapons, to say, like, this is what they can do. And I thought that was so brave and so like incredibly courageous, and he seems very like he was a very eloquent man. So yeah, I have Ripley's Believe It or Not, the luckiest slash unluckiest man in the world. I have Joan Ginther, who was dubbed the luckiest woman in the world, because I put person, so of course it turned up men, and I was like, of course you're so sexist. So I had to search for both men and women. Then I have this woman who had like so many natural disasters in a row that it's ridiculous. And then another one. And then there's also Violet Constance Jessup, who survived so many shipwrecks. Like, she got on the Titanic, survived, then was on the HMHS Britannic, survived that shipwreck, then was on the RMS Olympic, which collided with the warship. It just went on and on. So yeah, all of that stuff in a lot more detail is in my show notes.
Cool. That sounds like it'll be fun to read through.
Games?
Yes. Villain, hot or not?
Hot. Gordon is so hot. Fake Jean-Claude Van Damme is not really my type. Also, he's playing a godbotherer, and that just, no.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Agree.
No relations to Angry Sky Daddy.
No, I did the same. I said the same. Gordon, yes. Kubrick, Creedy, no. What about Bella?
She's so hot. I didn't write her down because she is Catwoman, clearly, but she's like she's more like morally gray than like a straight up villain in this episode, as far as I was concerned anyway. But I may be blinded by my love of Catwoman.
Episode scare rating?
I give it a 3 because it's not that scary.
No, it's funny.
This is so comedy.
I'd give it a 2 just for Gordon's creepiness, and also actually the barbecue fork bit at the beginning.
For me, it's like Dime Store Van Damme and his weird obsession with God, and then when he's beating up Sam, then the barbecue fork death, and also Gordon's like arch villain hotness.
Yeah,
that's why it's a 3 for me.
If it was a funny rating, it'd be a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, 100%. If we had this episode is so funny rating, it would be like 100. Yeah. It would break the scale.
What was your favorite quote?
I'm Batman.
I couldn't work out which one you were going to go for, so I had that one down. Although, like I say, I think it's Sam's, yeah, you're Batman.
No!
Would actually be the best bit. But I'm going to go with, I lost my shoe.
I lost my shoe is so good! Oh, I love it so much.
What's your favourite thirst trap?
Smug Dean stealing the rabbit's foot and like leaving the post-it note in her apartment, like that whole like him being smooth as fuck. He breaks into her apartment, leaves the post-it note that says turn around. He's literally being Batman. Okay. And then they have that whole argument, and then he's like ridiculously smug when he's like, bye, see her. I can't remember what he says. He's just like, ha ha. He runs out with the foot. I am the better thief. It gives me life. I love it so much. Like that's my ultimate thirst trap. It's just Dean, like being Dean.
I just wrote, Sam's just a big adorable trap. So I'm going to go with when Dean comes in near the end and points the gun at Kubrick to save Sam.
Yeah, that's pretty epic. I love that part too. He's Batman.
Who was your MVP?
Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be Bobby because Bobby figures out how to like get rid of the rabbit's foot and break the curse. And otherwise Sam would be dead, and we cannot have Sam die again.
Yeah, no, I agree. I wrote Bobby as well. But then I also put it could be Dean maybe for saving Sam too.
There is that. And then there's the part where Sam gets the rabbit foot originally away from the other guys, because that's a pretty like valuable move too, because otherwise you're fucked, because whoever has the foot is going to win any fight. So I thought that was great. We would obviously both stay in the motel.
Yeah, I would give it a 4 out of 5, providing it's also clean, because we can't really tell. Yeah. I like the teal. If it's clean, I'd give it a 4.
Yeah, I mean, like it looked clean, so
yeah,
I would give it I would give it 4 stars. And I would stay there.
I'm missing there being themed motels this season so far, though.
I
want
can't
more themed
tell.
ones.
I was like looking at this and I was like, is this supposed to be a theme? And if so, what is the theme? And it just felt kind of swanky and kind of like Bella-like. But I couldn't figure out, like, and it didn't seem directly related to luck in a way that I could tell. So I was like,
although maybe I wonder if that was why it was so green, although it was teal rather than green. But like, there's lots of things that are lucky that are green, like 4-leaf clovers and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was nice. So I think season 3 has been off to a pretty good start so far.
I feel like season 3 ends up being so strong because it's so short. Like, I feel like there's only good material.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good way to wrap up our favorite episode.
Yeah.
Goodbye, favorite episode. Goodbye, listeners.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe. We would be very grateful. And if you know someone who would enjoy it, please share.
You can find us on Instagram at The Witches of Letters Podcast, or you can email us at thewitchesofletters@gmail.com.
Until next time, stay safe out there, have each other's backs, and always keep fighting.